Hi, my name is Terry Reiber, and I'm a member with PAC TV, and I'm here with Jim Ettwein, who is, he has the Rabid Republican blog. So what brought you out here today?
Came out here today for a lot of these presentations, which I think are great on how to use video, how to use different media in your blogs and things like that, and I have my own blog. Yep. And I think the key is to have communication that is poignant and interesting and great content. So that's one of the things I hope to get, and it was a great session for that. We learned a lot, did a lot of, had a lot of good presentations about how people do things on their own sites. So it was very good from that perspective. I really enjoyed it.
You think you learned anything today that you're going to incorporate into your blog?
Definitely. I'm going to start moving to video versus just the kind of text and pictures that I use now. So I'm going to be moving all over to video if I can.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, but I did want to just say that one of the things that's important on bloggers' sides of things today is to earn a lot of respect by having key content that really is the truth, that really is provable, because you don't want to have your blog become just an opinion piece that doesn't have any real content. And I think that's the key thing.
Okay, and what is the URL of your blog?
It's www.rabidrepublicanblog.com. If you just search for Republican blogs, it's number 3 in Google.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jim. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Terry Reiber. I'm a member with PAC TV, and I'm with Catherine White, who has been teaching constitutional courses for 2.5 years. And what brings you out today?
Christine and Patrick invited me to the Citizen Watchdog training, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to see how what I'm doing fits in with sort of the greater Tea Party movement.
And my understanding is you're already using media to get the message out. You've got videos on YouTube, is that correct?
Yes, the talk that I did in March at Brandeis University on the Constitution is up on YouTube in 2 parts.
Okay, and you've also been giving courses or presentations at Tea Party meetings, is that correct?
Yeah, I've given 4 different presentations at various Tea Party meetings, and we're looking at scheduling more. I've also been running a study group on the U.S. Constitution since April of, 2010.
Okay, what is your biggest takeaway today?
My biggest takeaway today is how much more power there is in the use of citizen watchdogs and social media to get out an untarnished message.
Okay, well, thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Terry Reiber, and I'm a member of PAC TV, and I'm here with Ralph Zazula, who's a co-founder of Show ID to Vote. Can you tell us a little bit more about that movement?
Sure. Show ID to Vote encourages citizens to become more involved on Election Day and in the entire election process. We believe that the more people understand about elections, the more honest, the better election result we'll have.
Okay, and what brought you out to the Citizen Watchdog training today?
Well, the Show ID to Vote is big on training citizen observers, and this is exactly the same type of activity, taking everyday people, giving them some basic understanding, basic tools, take a video camera, go into a polling place, and do the job of a citizen observer. So this kind of training is absolutely perfect. It's the same type of work, but on a day-to-day basis instead of on Election Day.
Okay, and are you trying to get legislation passed for Show ID to Vote?
There are many states that are passing all kinds of pieces of legislation. Show ID to Vote believes in verification as being the key rather than having a mandated photo ID. But there are lots of ways to improve things legislatively. So we'll comment on a number of things. People from the State House in Massachusetts will ask for an opinion on how a piece of legislation looks or so on. But Show ID to Vote is more about education and getting people involved than pushing for legislative changes.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ralph. Appreciate it.
Good.
Hi, I'm Terry Reiber, and I'm a member of PAC TV, and I'm here with Michael Isenberg, who has written a book called
Full Asylum.
And what is that about?
It's about what America will look like if Obama gets reelected. It's about a nanny state that's out of control and an economy that's stagnant.
Okay, and what do you think right now is a possibility that Obama will or won't be voted in?
I think it will depend on the economy. Right now, I'm sorry to say, in a way, the economic data is not good, and that's going to work to Romney's advantage.
We've seen the executive privilege. Do you think we're going to see more items that kind of challenge the Constitution if Obama is reelected?
Well, absolutely. Not only have we seen executive privilege, we've seen his unilateral implementation of the DREAM Act. We've seen many things of this nature with him. We saw the recess appointments that were unconstitutional. We saw him go to war with Libya unilaterally without the War Powers Act resolution from Congress. So absolutely, I think we're going to see more. So
can they find your book on Amazon?
It's on Amazon.com, and you can also read about it at my website, www.fullasylum.com.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Terry Reiber. I'm a member of PAC TV, and I'm here with Christine Morabito, who is president of the Greater Boston Tea Party. So what did it take to organize an event like this?
I was pretty naive, Terry. I've never done anything like this before, and I just sort of thought I would just organize it and plan it and invite people and they would come, but there was a lot to it, actually. About a week ago, we only had 40 people signed up, and I was getting a little panicky, so I sent lots of reminder emails and messages to people. I didn't want to harass them, but I really wanted them to come because I knew it would be a worthwhile program, and I knew they would love it if they came, and it turned out that they did. I spoke to people who said they were planning on leaving at noon, and they ended up staying for the whole thing. So we got lots of really positive feedback.
Well, it was a great turnout today, and I must say I was kind of glued to it from 9 o'clock this morning till 5 o'clock tonight. And there was really no lull in the show whatsoever. But what's your biggest takeaway from what you saw today?
What I hope is that, as I said earlier, this is a room of movers and shakers within the Tea Party movement, and these are the people that are going to go out there. I just wanted them to be inspired to not be afraid, to go to their city council meetings, go to their school board meetings, access some of these public records, and really get the word out on how the politicians are spending our tax dollars.
And are you planning to have more events like this in the future?
We may make it an annual event. It was such a success.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic myself, and thank you for putting on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for videotaping it.
You're welcome. Yeah. Hi, I'm Terry Reiber. I'm a member of PAC TV, and I'm here with Patrick Humphries, who is on the steering committee for the Greater Boston Tea Party. And how would you say the event went today?
It was quite excellent. There was a number of good speakers. There was a lot of great information handed out. And I think there's a lot of people here might be motivated to actually become citizen journalists. And that's what we need a lot more of in this country.
Yeah, I saw a lot of interest in the crowd, definitely. And it seemed like video seemed to be the order of the day. What are your thoughts around that?
I think videography is going to be very important. I think actually finding people caught in the act is happening much more often these days. Everybody pulls out their cell phone or their cameras, and they're ready to go. So I think the information given today will encourage them and enable them to see that it's not such a big hurdle to jump. It's very readily done, and it's happening much more often these days. It's great.
The other thing I noticed today was, a lot of the journalists are talking about, fact-based journalism and all the data mining they do, all the different websites they can go to, and requesting information that's required to be responded to by governments and all that sort of thing.
It's great. There's a lot of people here who did that. Rob, from Red Mass does that frequently, and I think there's a lot of other people here who get a lot of joy doing data mining. The Pioneer Institute had the checkbook online long before Massachusetts did, at about 1/100th the cost, and people can actually go online and look at that information, see what our state government is spending the money on.
So where do you see the Greater Boston Tea Party going in the next, let's say, 6 months to 2 years?
Well, the Greater Boston Tea Party is an educational organization, so our idea is that we're going to get people interested and activated. Many years ago, people probably that were politically conscious weren't necessarily politically active, and I think message from the last few years is that everybody needs to be involved. Everybody needs to step up their level of activism in politics these days, and getting involved not only at the state and local level, but maybe at a federal level too, working on federal campaigns or state and local campaigns. It's all important.
When I think of the Greater Boston Tea Party, I think about the Facebook and the group and the hundreds of members. Do you regularly sort of parlay in that environment?
I do. I've been with the Boston Tea Party, pretty active in it for a while. I try to hit every meeting every month. Oh, great. And Christine is as well. I work in the Canton area, so I'm able to get to the ones down south of Boston, and then when they're north of Boston, I'm going up there as well. And there's a lot of good energy out there.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Good talking to you.
Hi, I'm Terry Reiber, member of PAC TV, and I'm here with Stephanie Davis. Her company is Patriot Games Media, and she also has a website called Massachusetts Matters. And Stephanie gave a presentation today about blogging about local issues. A little backstory, Stephanie and I often on Facebook comment on each other's issues, and I must admit she's the most closely aligned person politically to me that I've ever met in my entire life, so I'd like to say that. So how did your presentation go today?
I enjoyed the conference. I thought it was great for us to be able to get like-minded individuals, citizen bloggers, to be able to get together, interact, exchange ideas, what's working, what's not working, where do we need to shore up our efforts to make progress. So I enjoyed all of it.
So often I'm interested in more the federal level issues, and you present it at the local level. What do you think is the difference between working on local issues versus federal level issues?
Tip O'Neill said all politics is local, and most federal issues germinated at some point in time at the local level. So if you look at some of the movers and shakers on the national scene, Scott Brown, Barney Frank, Barack Obama, they all had their beginnings at the state and or local level. So,
do you tend to write and contribute more at the local level or some at the federal? Like, what would be your sort of mix of interest?
When I started, it was 70-30 federal, national. Now it's the other way around, because I figured that I feel strongly that that's the area of weakness that we need to be focusing on, and I think it's the area that most people care about. I can't do anything, frankly, about what happens in Congress or the Supreme Court, but you can do something about what happens in Boston or Worcester or Newton or Lexington or your local community.
So what does it feel like being in a state that is primarily Democrats and you're sort of fighting the good fight for the Tea Party, as it were?
It's a target-rich environment, so I love it. There's plenty of material.
Do you think we've made some progress in the state?
I do. Particularly in 2010, despite the loss at the statewide level, we picked up seats in the state legislature. We also picked up seats in the Governor's Council. And those Governor's Council territories are massive, and they do have an impact on what goes on in the executive branch, particularly with respect to judicial appointments. So I thought, all told, it wasn't ideal, but it was a start.
With Deval Patrick stepping down, do you think there's any chance at all we'll get a Republican governor coming up?
When is he stepping? Did he step down?
Well, I thought he's not stepping down. Sorry, he's not running again.
So he says. But it depends on it always depends on the candidate. It's hard to say, but.
Well, I'm sure Charlie Baker is probably thinking about running again, you'd hope.
And he would have a good base because name recognition would not be an issue.
Right. Wouldn't you say the Scott Brown win in our state was quite buoying for Tea Party members, for instance?
It was a national event. I made so many friends through that campaign that endured to this day. And it was a galvanizing event and a galvanizing year for the Tea Party. One of several that year.
So what do you think is your biggest takeaway from what you heard today?
All politics is local, and there's a critical need for us to begin focusing on issues in particularly school committees, zoning committees, waste, fraud, and abuse, election fraud. Those are all areas of opportunity that we need to focus on. So I think it's focus, local.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Terry Reiber, member of PAC TV, and I'm here with Tom Duggan, who is the editor and owner of the Valley Patriot newspaper, and he gave a presentation today on media law, legal tools to protect your liberty and empower citizens. I must say it was a great presentation. It was fantastic. So how long has the paper been in existence, the Valley Patriot newspaper?
Our first edition we published in March of 2004. And it was really something that we put together to show the local daily paper, which happens to be the Eagle Tribune in our area, how badly they were covering or not covering things. We started off, we printed 2,000 papers our first month, and we delivered in 4 communities. We had 25 locations. And we thought maybe by, a year, 2 years out, we might reach 3,000 papers and maybe 50 locations and maybe 5 communities instead of 4. And what turned out happening was within 3 years we were at 15,000 papers, and we were in, I think, 12 communities at that point. And as of this month, we're printing over 20,000 papers, and we're in 38 communities. We actually are all the way out now in Gardner, Fitchburg, and Leominster. We publish out of North Andover, so we do the Merrimack Valley area. But the diverse content, the puppies and the doctors that write, medical columns and things like that, seem to appeal a lot to people regardless of the local content that we have, which is kind of Merrimack Valley centric. But we do cover a lot of state issues because, let's face it, what goes on in cities like Lawrence, the state taxpayers are paying for it. And they have a $280-something million budget in Lawrence, and at least 85 to 90% of that comes from the state. So people outside of the Merrimack Valley should understand and should care about what's going on in cities like Lawrence and Holyoke and Springfield because they're paying for it. And so what we found is that even though we're centered in the Merrimack Valley, we have people out in Gardner and Templeton and Hubbardston who are looking for the Valley Patriot every month because they want to know what their state tax money is going to in places like Lawrence.
So you're sort of bucking the trend in the newspaper industry by actually increasing your circulation.
Yeah, our competitors, if you want to call them that, because they're dailies and we're a monthly, but our competitors are losing money every single week, and they're laying people off every single week, and they've stopped doing investigative journalism because that costs money and time and effort and resources. And we have really just kind of a group of dedicated volunteers who are more concerned with just telling the story than telling the story with an agenda. As far as I'm concerned, my job is to do what you're doing right now. Put a microphone in front of somebody's face, ask them a question. When they give me an answer, write it down and then publish it. Not write it down, then find someone who hates them to excoriate what they said, to discredit them. Our job is to present facts and to clearly delineate what is an opinion column from what is an article. And I think one of the problems, one of the reasons why the media, the news media, especially print media, is losing so much money is because people can't distinguish anymore. When they're reading a front page story, it's supposed to be news. Right. And they get halfway through it and they find very subjective terms that if you're a writer or somebody who reads a lot, you'll notice that this isn't news anymore. The first 5 paragraphs might have been news, but now we're into opinion, but it's being called an article instead of an opinion column. So we clearly delineate. And we also do, a bunch of other things that most newspapers won't do. And I think the reason why we're succeeding and they're not is if you want to write something tomorrow and we have room for it and you send it to me, we'll print it. That's great. And if it's too long for the space that I have for you, I'm going to send it back to you and say, can you cut a paragraph? Can you cut 2 paragraphs so we can fit your... So the person who submits the information that they want the public to consume, they get to decide what comes out rather than... Look, if you write a 3 or 4 column, 3 or 4 paragraph letter to the editor, you send it to the Globe or the Eagle Tribune or the Lowell Sun, you'll be lucky if they publish 2 paragraphs, and they're going to decide what paragraphs come out and what paragraphs don't. So we tried to really just kind of go back to like the 1940s, 1950s model of newspapers and just tell the story and let other people, kind of like a bulletin board style, express their opinions about what we're writing. So if you want to write an editorial about, why you think the Valley Patriot is yellow journalism and you hate us because we're a bunch of right-wing hate mongers, we'll print every single word of that because we believe that the reader should get both sides or 3 sides or whatever 5 sides are available, and they should make up their own mind. And most papers today are agenda-driven. They're either corrupt because they're in bed with elected officials like the Tribune is with Sheriff Cousins, or they're lazy like a lot of these weekly newspapers that just regurgitate what the dailies say. Or what's the third one? There's laziness, corruption, or ideological. You know, they're left-leaning or they're right-leaning, and so every news story is going to reflect that left lean or that right lean. We don't. We lean right in our editorials, but when we write news, it's news. And I think that's one of the reasons we've gone from 2,000 to 20,000 papers in 8 years, and the local dailies and local weeklies are either closing or laying people off.
Well, that's excellent.
Long answer to a short question.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Again, this is Tom Duggan. He's the editor and owner of the Valley Patriot newspaper. And it was a great presentation.
Thanks for being
today.
here as a member of the media.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate what you guys do.